Well, Deandra and Bud, I have filed lots of open records requests in my life. And I feel like when this trial is over, I want a transcript of this guy's testimony because I plan to use it the next time.
They deny.
Yes, absolutely. The next time a law enforcement agency busts a deadline and claims the law enforcement exception, and then they still try to withhold it, I'm going to say, hey, this is what y'all do. You did this for Nate Paul. I'd like the same treatment.
Well, this is one of the key points. The House wants to say they made special effort and went to a special extreme to help Nate Paul. The defense wants to say, we're the Attorney General and we can do whatever we want.
Well,
I think that it's also hard because they're talking about things we can't see. It's been one of the things I've noticed this whole time. Normally in a trial, exhibits are produced and you can see them, and we can't see any of this stuff. So it's even hard to understand what they're actually talking about. But I agree 100%. Usually the AG's office, it's law enforcement exception all
whether
day long.
Deadlines are busted or not. And I have had them, and I can't remember the exact language, but I have had situations where filed the request, law enforcement agency, oftentimes the Dallas Police Department busts a deadline, still files and says, and I'm paraphrasing here, we still claiming the law enforcement exception, la 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 la, and I still don't get it.
Yeah, rubber stamped. It's rubber stamp letter. We've gotten them too, where we've requested stuff from police agencies. Police agency goes way past the deadline. AG's office still turns
are you going to
down.
be citing this in your
Yeah, I
briefs?
think we're going to call it the Nate Paul exception now, I guess.
Yeah, I want the Nate Paul exception too. I want that kind of love from the Attorney General's office, and I plan to ask for it. And I guarantee you that every reporter out there in the state is going to be doing the same thing. So the AG, they have just opened up a big old can of worms.
Well, it sounds like you just need to email Justin Gordon and say, Justin, hey, Justin,
I want the Nate Paul exception.
I want the Nate Paul exception.
I want that love from you.
Because they're late. There's some, what's he call them? Procedural irregularities. So hand it over.
Yeah, first sample turned in late. The representative sample they initially turned in was substantially different than what they turned in
and
later.
no one has explained what that means.
Yeah, what does that mean?
This
More
reflects
pages.
the antagonistic role the AG's office took toward other law enforcement agencies, toward the court, toward the DPS. I mean, the AG set itself up as the sole arbiter of what was constitutional and unconstitutional, regardless of precedent or other law.
Well,
I'm really looking forward to the cross. I want to see what she asks old Justin Gordon about how many other times he's done this. Those are the kinds of questions you're going to want to ask. Like, how many other people where there were procedural irregularities did you go ahead and take these actions for?
I would love to hear that. I want to hear that.
And also, what specifically was different about what you got the first time and what you got the second time? What was the substantial difference?
Well, they're using some buzzwords here.
Yeah,
procedural irregularities.
Yeah, what does that mean exactly?
And substantially different. Well, is it really all that different? I mean, because they haven't, like you said, they haven't explained what they mean, and I guess we also don't understand. We don't really know like how this time. The prosecution only has a little over 2 hours. How is that going to hamper their ability to cross? Or do you need much time to cross this guy?
Probably don't. I mean, you should have your list of questions and go bam, bam, bam. I don't know who this young lady is who's acting on the behalf of
the defense.
Somebody sent me this.
No, the
Hold on,
state.
I'm gonna go look up the
Or
name.
the AG's office.
Well, Allison Collins, is that?
Oh yeah, Allison Collins.
Allison Collins is the defense attorney, and she. And it's interesting that she is sticking to this argument that because they gave somebody the document, they have to give everybody the document. That's state law, but it would seem like at least out of courtesy, they would have some redacted version to give in public in court, just out of. She is sticking to that totally, saying we get to give out everything we gave out.
I am telling you, they are opening up a can of worms here that they are not going to be able to put back in. Every reporter in this state, lawyers like Deandra Grant are going to be saying, and it will become the Nate Paul exception to the open records law.
Right,
on
Justin.
these issues, because
Justin.
law enforcement entities better stop busting deadlines and better start because we're going to all say, well, they busted the deadline. Where's my records? Send them on to me. Oh, and and I'm going to start requesting these briefs. I like the briefs too. Oh, and if you bust the deadlines on that, I'd like the whole thing.
Right,
Unredacted.
non-redacted. Yes, unredacted.
Also, we'd like all the call records from those 4 cell phones that the Attorney General had, but I don't think we're going to get those.
Well, people say I should be happy. Actually, no, this is thrilling from an open records perspective.
Yes.
This is like, if I see, actually, I'm kind of excited because this is like new ammunition from an open records perspective. As someone who files open records requests practically daily, kind of considers it a God-given right. This is kind of cool.
Well, you've actually interviewed me on issues before regarding elected officials in Dallas County where I've said, well, why don't we try to get this record? And you're like, well, they're going to claim the law enforcement exception. They're
absolutely.
never going to give it to us. Never going to give it to us.
How many times have you gotten something? One time, when Ethan Couch in Lakeside, and I requested all the tickets that Lakeside had written in a given day, knowing that one of them was to Ethan Couch. And I was able to get all those tickets. That's the only time that I've been able to get anything at all that involved law enforcement.
Well, tickets have a presumption of being public. Now,
Right.
where you would probably run into problems is like, there's going to be some things on that ticket, like dates of birth, driver's license,
Address,
if
home
address.
address.
Well, yeah,
Maybe.
addresses. I think you would get addresses, but there are definitely driver's license. If they don't really put social security numbers on stuff like that anymore, but there are definitely some things that are confidential by law. But one thing I want to talk about while we're kind of sitting here.
Yeah, we're talking inside baseball.
We are. Well, it's because those of us that file open records requests, this is actually really exciting stuff. Yeah.
They're coming back.
Oh, they're coming back.
Let's see. Well,
Let's see
is
here.
there
They
a
still-
little discussion going on up there with
Let
Patrick?
me take a look at the live. I've got the Senate feed up as well, the direct feed, which is about a little bit behind ours because we're trying to make sure that we don't step on any of the testimony. Yeah.
For people who want to know, what we're talking about here is Article 3 of the Articles of Impeachment, disregard of official duty. Paxton misused his power in administering the state's public information laws by directing employees to act contrary to the law on an open records request, and releasing public DPS documents, and also in another case.
Yeah.
The House only has to prove one article of impeachment for Ken Paxton to be
Right.
removed from office. They are prosecuting him on 16 articles. They're asking the Senate to sustain any one of those 16 articles to remove him from office.
Okay,
Oh,
so we're back
here we
in
go.
session.